Welcome to Porsche Cup, another amazing series. This week it's 15 laps around one of the greatest tracks and one of my favorite cars, Imola. So we're gonna jump right into it, starting off with qualifying, and yeah, let's get right into the first lap. I'm gonna go ahead and blur out my relative because I just don't want you guys to see where I am placing in this qualifying run, but you're going to be braking just around that 100-meter board, making sure you're riding both curves, being careful with that throttle. You know, if you're putting too much throttle, you're going to be spinning out of that second turn when you're hitting those curbs. Slightly cutting that curb, dropping down into third, cutting that curb as well, bringing it out wide, quickly pushing it back to the right. We're going to be braking at the 50, cutting out wide, and yeah, invalidation. Unfortunately, we're going to get an off track on the first part of this lap, and that just, I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to keep pushing, act like that never happened. So we're just going to keep going through this lap. I'll kind of walk you through it, going through these kind of one of my favorite sectors, or favorite two turns in the entire track. Kind of weird. You gotta make sure you're not taking too much curbing on the right, or else you are gonna bounce out wide and get in that gravel. Quick little chicane. You're gonna want to stay off the throttle on that. If you're using too much throttle coming out, you are gonna spin, which you will see later in the video, unfortunately. But ending off in these last two corners, it's gonna be a quick shift down to second. We're not going to be wanting to use that curbing on the left, but on this second corner you're going to be wanting to use the curb. I wasn't in third, but you are going to want to be using third when you are going through that parabola corner just before the end. So hopping on to the next lap, because unfortunately that was an invalidation coming down, and yeah, I'm joking. I'm just going to save you guys a little bit of time. Coming on to that favor sector I was talking about, we're going to be, getting a little out wide. So, yeah, we're going to be starting all the way in the back. That's me way back there in P19. Yeah, not the best qualifying run I had, but we're going to be starting P19. Have a pretty good jump off the line. The car in front is going to end up cutting in front, so I'm going to go ahead and push out wide and try to get next to him. And there's a lot of cars up front. You know, I was playing this safe. There's a lot of chaos. But yeah, there was a lot of chaos going on. I didn't really want to do anything crazy. I'm gonna make a move around the outside of this number 4 Fart Boys car, which is just a amazing livery. I like that. And as you can see, cars are flying off the track everywhere. We have a great gap from the cars behind. We're really gonna fly up on this car, on this pack, really, in the next two corners. As you can see, more cars are going off wide. People are battling out. People are sending it down the inside, including myself. I'm going to go ahead and make a move on that number 3 car. He's going to get way out wide, get a little loose, and I'm going to tuck myself in. I think at this point we might have been P11 or P12 up from P19, so we're going to keep going. Car in front, he's going to get a terrible run. We're going to stick it to the inside. Not sure if he's going to do it, but he looks like he's just going to back out, trying to catch up and stay with this pack in front, because this track is, as you guys know, the front straight is very long. As you can see, another car off track. It was just mayhem this first lap, but as I was saying, the front straight is very long, so staying close and staying in the draft with the car in front is very helpful, because the draft in these Porsche Cup cars are so strong. And as you can see, coming out of that little chicane, we are about 4/10 off from the car in front. It looks like we are up to 10th place, coming to the end of lap number 1, which is just, that's why I love racing Porsche Cup. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. You could have a good race, a bad race. We're going to gain another position there. 10 places in the first lap, and it wasn't really a whole lot of overtakes. I only made 2 overtakes. Wasn't anything challenging, but yeah, as you can tell, look at the cars in front. I mean, the draft that they're getting from the cars, and yeah, as you guys can see, we're gonna catch a little bit of grass there, but staying in the draft is very important, because you basically lose the cars in front if you're not in the draft. But taking a look at that again, coming down, it looks like I just got my right tires on the grass a little too much. cutting off those curbs, trying to get it back on track, not able to. I'm like, screw it, cut the next corner, just trying to get on track and stay alive, get out of everyone's way. And we are going to tuck behind that Rexy car that we saw at the start of the race. And so just taking this careful because I know I still got gravels on my tire, and I know there's gravel all over the track, you know, there's people going everywhere. And so we're just going to try and stay with these 2 cars in front. It looks like Ying, they're about a second in front, and they're battling it out some. But yeah, I've had a really fun time racing in this Porsche Cup car. The battling, the racing, the draft, I think that they need to fix the draft modeling a little too much. I think it is a little aggressive on the draft side, and it can be bouncy at times. I don't know if you guys watched the Monza video, but that car was bouncing all over the place at Monza, and it was just a freaking hell of a time to drive. But catching up here in this little chicane, about 2/10 off from the car in front, he's going to overslow, which causes me to lose a little bit of time on him, hopefully trying to gain it in this next corner coming up. But we're just going to be trying to stay on these guys, not taking any of that curbing on the left there. And like I said, you're going to want to stay in 3rd gear there because that could cause a lot of trouble. You're going to anyway, but moving on, we're going to get the draft on this guy coming up. Looking at him, he's going to bump into me trying to brake, which causes the car behind him to hit him and get a decent run on me. And as you guys can tell, yes, we do have the same liveries. The car in front and the car behind, I am the car in front, we do have the same livery. And yeah, so he's just going to stay behind me pretty much the entire lap. As you guys can see down there on the relative, he's about a 2/10 off me pretty much the entire lap coming around. So I'm really just trying to keep pace. He does have the fastest lap right now. I'm just trying to keep pace, not make any stupid mistakes, and just try to gain some positions back. We were in P9, and the car in front was, I believe, the car that we saw at the beginning of the race, that Rexy car. So we were just trying to focus on him, not even think about the car behind, and he wasn't making any moves on me as far as I remember. He was kind of just pushing with me, trying to catch the group up ahead. The car in front, there was about a 3 or 4 car group in front of the car in front of me, so I was just trying to get into that guy's draft, and then so we could all just push each other and getting into the bigger group with everyone else. But moving on, as you can tell, the car behind obviously using that big draft to a huge advantage and absolutely just pulling up on me. Coming closer to the first 2 corners, he is going to get right up in my nose. I'm going to defend the inside. He's going to get right behind me, absolutely just barely touching me, barely touching my bumper both times and staying right on my tail. I mean, absolutely great racing from this guy. I give him props because he wasn't doing anything to put us both in danger. He was just staying on my tail and making sure that we were both going fast, and I give him props to that because this dude was he was really quick and he was a good racer. So I really enjoyed battling out with him for a couple of corners. But moving on to a little ahead, I believe is the next lap. We were coming down, same thing, he's getting that nice good draft on me, coming around, I'm defending the inside again, and I'm just going to let him go ahead and take it because I wasn't trying to do anything. I just wanted to stay on these cars in front. He's going to get a little squirrely coming out of that corner right there, but I'm just going to left off. As you guys can tell, there's a little bit of gravel on the road, so I'm going to run it a little wide and drop a couple tenths off them, but nothing too crazy. I'm still in that draft, and so what I'm trying to do is basically keep up with these guys, and he's going to dive to the inside, causing them to, yeah, barely squeezing it through there. I had to hit you guys with that replay. I mean, look at this. Barely perfectly opened up for me to just get right through there and just have a... So we're going to be hopping on board with the car in front. Aaron, actually, we're about a second behind of him. He's going to be putting on the pressure on Sahib, which, shout out again, has the same livery. This is the second livery that I've seen in this lobby, but if you don't know, iRacing did run this skeleton Rexy livery at the 2025 Petite Le Mans. It was beautiful. I absolutely loved the livery. I thought it was one of the coolest things that they could have done, but coming up on this corner, he's going to make a little move to the inside, a little peek, which is not going to mess up Sahib a little too much, but he's going to be coming out probably in second gear, getting it, touching a little bit of that grass, and just smacking the wall, unfortunately. And he is going to be, I believe, out of the race. I think he just took it back to the pits there. So we are going to gain another lap, moving on to, or another position, sorry, moving on to lap 7, and that also just gave me the fastest lap in the session, which was, I believe, a 42.8, as you can see down there, which wasn't my fastest at the time. As you guys will see later in the video, I was going a little faster. But yeah, so we're going to be putting the pressure on this car in front, Aaron. I wasn't doing anything crazy because I knew I was a little faster than him. I knew I had the pace. We're going to be going back out wide, making that move to the inside, getting a little argy-bargy with him, little door banging, but we're going to make that move past him, nothing crazy, and we're just going to keep pushing it forward. But moving ahead to lap number 9, we're going to be hopping on board, and we're just going to be trying to catch this group of cars in front. We're about 8/10 off from them, nothing too crazy, but as you can tell, the 2 cars in front are battling it out, so we're going to be able to gain on them pretty decently quick, hopefully, if they're going to be battling at a decent rate and making moves on each other. People weren't being too aggressive this week compared to last week in Monza, but people were definitely being aggressive in some of these races that I was getting into. I'm just going to try to tuck in back behind these guys, see if I can pull off the draft. We're about 5/10 off from them now after a couple of corners. So obviously them battling has helped me gain a couple of attempts on them. But coming on to the last 2 corners, we're going to get a decent exit, a little bouncy coming out of there, coming up close. And I thought we were going to get good, and nope. Same thing that Sahib did. We're going to get squirrely. We're going to try and turn this around, almost killing someone coming to the left, going to the right, almost killing another guy. But yeah, as you can see, we're just getting a little too much curb. That also gave us a 10x, which you guys will see here. This will play a part here in a second. But yeah, this guy's going to be coming across, almost killing him, as the guy from the start, Yang, he's going to be coming across, almost killing him, having to dive out into the grass, and I just felt bad. So moving ahead a little bit, we're actually going to tuck up behind Ming, and at this point I had a 10x, so I was just trying to race smooth, made the move on him, get as many places, and just try to minimize the iRating loss at this point. You know, we don't want to get as much iRating loss as you want, and so we're going to be coming around trying to chase this car in front, and boom. Yep, we're going to fucking spin out, and excuse my French, but yeah, we're going to spin out, so that's going to give us a 12x at this point, and I'm just so pissed at myself. I'm like, whatever, just clean race, boom, another 1x. I'm like, alright, ain't no way this can happen. There's only about 2 laps left. You know, I think this was the last lap right here. Yeah, this was the last lap, and I got another 1x right there, as you can tell, just coming on stupid things. So we're going to cross the line for a P11 finish, thinking it was over. Nope, we're going to get a 4 times before the race is even over, and now this just infuriates me. I mean, slow motion, I didn't even hit him. Yeah, so we didn't even hit him. Not a great safety rating race, gained some IR, but on to the next one. Same thing here, hopping straight into qualifying, and I'm going to go ahead and blur the relative once again because I want you guys to not know what position I'm going to get in. Hopefully qualifying better than we did last time, braking right at that little orange marker on the right hand side. Make sure we're cutting both curbs, being careful not to get too much bounce out of that second curb, making sure we're opening up that third turn. Sorry there. Make sure we're opening up that third turn, turning in early on here, getting on the brake, staying on the brake, making sure we're not getting, it's really easy to get an off track there if you run it a little too wide on the left hand side. opening up this corner, make sure you're opening it up, but you do, again, you don't want to open it up too much because you can easily get another off track there. Heading up to one of my favorite sectors, you're going to brake at the 50 board, keeping it tight along this early on the throttle, keeping it tight along the apex again, onto this almost like a double apex. We're going to take this first one, heading straight into almost the grass it looks like, but then we're going to take a nice sharp turn, cutting off most of that curbing and not really taking it out wide. We're going to want to cut as much of the track as we can, so we're going to cut off that curb. Again, attacking these curbs, bouncing over them. I mean, the Porsche car, it can take the curbs like a beast. If you're not using the throttle too much and you're not modulating it too much, you're not going to have a hard time taking those curbs and bouncing right over them. But the last two turns, we're going to be braking at the 100-meter board, trying to get the best, staying in third gear, riding that last curb, opening it up early on throttle, but you got to modulate, you got to be careful because you're not going to spin out. But coming across the line on our first qualifying run, we're going to go for a 1:42.729. So that's going to put us in pole position, as you can see right there, us up at all the way at the front. Going to the start of the race, though, we're going to gonna try and defend the inside. I didn't have my mirrors until I was editing. I realized I didn't have my mirrors. But we're going to be trying to defend the inside. P3 is going to make a crazy move. Yeah, I don't know what he was doing there. In my opinion, I think he took himself out. But looking back, he's going to get an insane launch off of P2. He's going to kind of force him, make that move out wide, getting side by side with me. And it looks like he's just going to brake super late and just try and cut right in front of me. And yeah, I don't really know what he was doing.
I don't know what you were doing right there, brother.
As you can tell, I let him know. I don't know what he was doing right there, but getting a nice 1 second gap to the cars behind was honestly pretty nice. So I couldn't ask for more. Getting a good start of the race on my second race of the week. But yeah, so we're just gonna try and hold this. I mean, a 1 second gap. We're gonna try and cold tires, so obviously we can't be pushing too hard, but we're gonna be trying to keep this lead most of the race. Hopefully nothing bad happens. But yeah. Recently, I've really been enjoying this Porsche Cup car. I mean, next week, I think it's at, oh shoot, I forget the track it's actually at, so I'll have to check. But yeah, I've been trying to get up in the championship points. I think I'm about 90th in like the Division 4, which is in like the 23, 24, 2500 iRating range, which is about where I am right now. And actually, if I win this race, I believe I would get above 2400 for the first time, so it was important if I won this. But yeah, coming across on the end of the first lap, P2 is going to bring down that gap a little bit. I mean, they're about 8/10, 9/10 away from me right now, so they're bringing down that gap. But skipping ahead to lap number 5, we're gonna have a little bit of hectic. But if you guys remember, if you guys know this livery on the outside of the car, this is the guy from the start of the race. And I was racing and I noticed he said something in the chat. He was like, "Are you guys effing blind?" And I was like, I wonder what this was all about. So of course I'm gonna go back and watch the replay, and it looks like he was just trying to make as many moves as he could, trying to gain as many positions he could, trying to get that lost time back. And yeah, coming up here, looks like a couple cars in front are going to be slow, and that car in front is going to be super slow out wide, cutting back in, and yeah, he's just going to get absolutely destroyed by hopping on with the 18 car. It looks like he just had some damage to his outside. I think it was his front right rear that he had damage to. Yeah, as you can see there, his wheel is almost on the inside. He's just going to murk that car, and as you can see here, from the leader hitting me to black markers, you just can't trust anyone. So I went back and I watched the replay, and I mean, he's gonna dive in on me when I have the inside and just turn in early. I mean, going back again, yeah, he just dove in on me early, and I didn't really know what to say there. But the rest of this race, nothing went on. I had about a 2-3 second gap the entire race. So I was just trying to keep it smooth, trying to minimize the off tracks. My safety rating was really in the junk right now, so I was just trying to get that back up to where I needed it to be, because I really want to get back up to that A class so I can start racing in those IMSA races, because as much as I love Porsche Cup, I love IMSA as just as much, if not more. I mean, I think multi-class racing is probably some of the best racing you'll get in a sim, in real life, in any type of motorsports. I mean, when you have faster cars going against slower cars, I think that's something that it doesn't take. It takes precision, but it takes skill. You got to know how to manage the traffic in a faster car, in a slower car. You know how to predict. Got to know how to predict other drivers. I'm kind of just rambling now. Anyway, but yeah, the rest of this race wasn't really much eventful at all. I just kept it clean for the rest of the race. Um, yeah, I mean, there really wasn't much else to it. I think I got a couple of off tracks here and there. I think I ended the race with about 5x, so nothing crazy. But just trying to focus, trying to stay consistent on my pace. I was putting low low 43s, high 42s, and even some mid to low 42s towards the end of the race. So my pace was there for this week, and I was loving it. And I haven't raced anything at Daytona this week. It's just not my course, um, not what I like to see. But yeah, coming around on the final lap. There we go. P1, baby. That's what we like to see. And that's going to be a great race by our boy. So, great race. Great safety rating. Great I rating. That's going to put us above 2,400 for the first time. And as you guys can see on my graph, yeah, this is the highest that I've ever been. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much. And hopefully we can get 2,500 soon. Peace out.